to help all of us understand the needs of men, especially when they are hurting, how to hold space for them, and how we can learn not to hold expectations based off our programming. After Tony's experiences with many losses, being homeless several times, an alcoholic, and attempting to take his own life, he decided he wanted to be better and began exploring his healing journey. Well, Tony, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I am so grateful that you're here. This is awesome. So
Well, thank
awesome.
you for having me. It's an honor.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I've been looking forward to this because we've been, playing Zoom tag for a while. So
This is very true, but we're here
that's true.
now, though. We're
We're
here
here
now.
now, and that's all that matters, right? Right. And
Yes.
this journey is the way things are going when we work together and talk together and come together. I think that's really important for people. So I'm really looking forward to hearing your story. So let's get started.
All
So
right. All right.
can you go a little deeper into this trauma? This trauma, these traumas that you've experienced in your life, so our audience can hear how profound it is. Not only that, but how your personal healing journey got you where you are now and into the work
Mhm.
that you do.
Yeah, most definitely. I survived childhood molestation. I was molested twice at the age of 6 years old by my neighbor's son. His mother
Oh,
and my mother used to be
Tony,
best friends.
I
Yes.
can't. You sound like pull the microphone closer, type of thing. It sounds like you're far away from me.
How about now?
No, you put it in front
No?
of your face. Does this sound? This will be
How
fun.
about now?
That's better.
Okay.
That is better. Okay. Do you remember where you left off?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm the survivor of a childhood molestation. I was molested twice by my neighbor's son. His mother and my mother were best of friends when I was kids. And so yeah, and after that it changed me, right? Because I was a typical kid. Loved riding my bikes and playing with my friends. I got a younger sister, straight A student in school, just trying to be a kid. But when that happened, it really changed me because it helped me or made me view life in a way of saying there's people out here that is capable of doing really bad things to you.
Mm,
And so you're not gonna you can't keep letting people do this. So you're gonna have to do something. So I learned how to protect myself. And I put a stop to it because he tried to do it a third time. And I told him, I said, no, no more. And so I tried to kill him. And when that happened, it made me realize that no one's ever going to come and save me. It's only me.
oh,
I have a job to do, which is protect my sister, keep good grades in school, to keep from getting in trouble with my mom and my dad, still be a grandson, still be a nephew, still be a cousin. But I just couldn't shake it though.
mhm,
And there was
mhm.
something, there was something about it that there was a rawness that came along with it when I looked at the streets. And I told myself, if I'm going to survive this world, I better start learning this over here. So at an early age, I used to always go out there to the guys on the streets that was always singing drugs and drinking and stuff like that. And I used to always want to hang out with them. And they used to always be like, boy, get on out of here. So they used to run me off. For years, I did this, right? For
But
years and years and years.
you started at six, right? Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
at 6 years old.
Yeah.
At 6 years old. So
Wow.
on one half, I'm still riding my bikes with my friends. I'm still skateboarding. I'm still riding walking the fences and going down to the beach and things like that. But on the other side, I was like, man, I want to go out here. I want to, I need to hang out with these dudes right here because these dudes is killers.
Mm,
And it was something about it that I knew that I needed from them. Like I was like, I need to be around these dudes, right? Because my friends ain't been through, they ain't never been through the stuff I've gone through just yet, right? And so I already look at life differently. So I started going out there. They used to run me off, like I said before. And by the time I was 11 years old, I finally went to one of the guys out there and was like, hey man, look, I got $40, man. I'm trying to make some money. And he used to look at me. He was like, boy, you out here with crackhead money. What you doing? Like, man, you're gonna have to do something. I was like, look, and so he would run me off, and I would come back the next day. Look, man, I got $40, man. I'm just trying to make some money. Boy, what you doing out here? Go on somewhere, man. If your mom knew that you was out here, she'd kill us, right? So they run me off again. So one day I caught him out there by himself, and I said, look here, man. I got $35 now because I went and got me a big pickle, some penny cookies, and a liter of Pepsi. You know what I'm saying? So I got $35 now. And I said, look, my mom would never find out, but I want to get me some clothes that ain't hand-me-downs. I want to buy me some shoes that don't come from Payless, right? I don't want a whole lot of money, but I just want to make some money. I want to be able to go to the arcade when I want to. So he looks at me. He goes, look here, man. I tell you what, give me $30 and I'm going to show you how to do this. And so he broke down the rules to me. He told me what I needed to do. And so I went out there and I started selling a little bit of drugs, right? Little crack and stuff. And I would come back to him and he'd go, okay, take this, check this out. Take 20, put it in your pocket. Don't never give the dope man all your money. Put 20 in your pocket. That way you have that, right? Give me the rest. I'm gonna give you this. I'm gonna show you how to break it down. So he did, and that's what sparked everything. Then from there, I started I started getting bigger and bigger, right? I went from $30 to, to selling, making $100, and then I'm making $200. And then I met some other people that saw me out there doing it. And they were like, hey man, why don't you come, like you really want to make some money? I go, yeah, man, I want to make a lot of money. Okay, cool. Come here. Let me show you something. And I looked at him. I was like, hold on. This can be a setup, right? Because I'm young and you may try to kill me. So I had already had myself a little gun. And I'm already thinking to myself, like, if you try anything, I'm gonna get you before you get me, type thing. So this is the mentality that you have to have. And so I got really good at selling drugs. And I became one of the biggest and youngest drug dealers in the state of Virginia by the time I was 15. I was selling drugs, I was selling guns, I was making over $1 million a week, which I didn't even know that, right? And I managed to keep it away from my mother and my father and my family.
Right.
Right. They thought I was going to the Boys and Girls Club. I'm out here selling drugs. So no one really paid attention to me. Oh, that's Tony. He's a straight A student. He don't get in trouble. What? I'm out there fighting and everything else. I'm like, you want to fight? Come on, bam, 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 right? And just out there, I'm out there just on a whole new level. It was funny. But yeah, 15 come around. I finally get busted. They try to give me 266 years, and I end up beating a charge or charges. I left after that was done. I left Virginia, went to Washington, D.C. For 2 years. So I was at D.C. from 1990 to 1992. I was from 15 to 17. Best time of my life. Didn't have to worry about nothing. I got back into drawing again. I was working for the U.S. Department of Labor. I was playing football. I found my love of bodybuilding there. I was teaching kung fu, I was teaching karate. I was taking kung fu. I was boxing. So I was having the time of my life, right? And at the age of 17, I meet my daughter's mom, my oldest daughter's mom. She gets pregnant. And so then from there, we leave Job Corps. We come to Colorado. My daughter's about 6 months old at that time. And this is where everything starts to turn around on me again because we were walking home and some guys that were over at the basketball court saw me. And I was wearing the wrong color, which I didn't know there was Bloods and Crips up here at that time. He comes over,
In
he
Colorado?
starts in Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah, Denver,
Wow.
Colorado.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm thinking to myself, I just left this. I didn't think I was running back into it,
Yeah.
you know. And the guy decided that he was going to try to hurt me in front of my family. And I told him, I said, you're not, just move, right? You and I can take care of what we need to take care of, but I just need you to move from between me and my family. And he
Mhm.
was like, man, forget that or this or another. And I beat him within an inch of his life. Now, when I did that, my daughter's mom, she looked at me and she had this fear in her eyes. And I knew right then and there It wasn't, it was, this is not going to be good. This is not going to be good at all. So we got home, and my gut and my heart told me, tell them to get away from me. And I did. And I told her, I said, look, this life is about to get really bad for me. It's about to get really bad. So I need you to take our daughter and yourself, get far as away from me as you possibly can. You don't have to tell me where you're going. If you do, let me know so I can send you money to take care of her. And she took my daughter at the age of 6 years old. And she got away from me like I asked her. And I was right. My life, my life turned upside down. I ended up staying in hotels, and as I was staying in hotels, I started meeting more people like myself from the gang, and I it just went downhill. I got deeper into it, and drinking, and it was just bad. It was just really, really bad, right? But I didn't know it at the time. And as the years went by, I ended up going to prison in 1994 for on a 5-year sentence for a crime I never committed. But I was thankful because they didn't catch me for what I did. So I took the 5 years. I spent 2 of those 5 years in solitary confinement. Now, during this course of time, I had already lost, I think at that time, I probably lost maybe around 200 plus friends, guys that I knew from the streets, right? And the stories that I could tell you about that would blow your mind, like shootouts and, the gang fights and all of these different things, the robberies and stuff that came along with that. Um, and so in 1999, I was released from prison, and I went back to the streets because I didn't know where else to go.
Mhm.
And in early 2000, I was shot 22 times by some rivals, right? But I wasn't even mad that they shot me. I was mad that they let me live. I was like, so y'all gonna shoot me and let me live? Oh no, we're gonna have to deal with this. So then after that, I went to war with these guys. I told them, I just want the 5 guys who shot me. They told me no. I said, well, then nobody gets to sleep. Nobody's going to sleep. And we went to the streets again. And we had it out. We had a 9 month war. A 9 month war that man, that's freaking surreal. It was like the things that was going on and things like that. It was just I'm actually surprised I actually survived it. Shortly after that, we called a truce. This was 2000, at the end of 2000. So 2001, I said, I'm done. I said, I don't want to do this no more. I'm tired. My hands hurt. I don't sleep. The nightmares are here. I mean, the one famous line where there's only one way out, man, and that's death. I took out my gun and I gave it to him. I said, do what you need to do. Just do what you need to do. But you only got one shot. That gun is fully loaded. There's one in the chamber. It's a hollow point in there. Make sure you kill me. Because if not, I'm coming back and I'm getting. They thought about it for a minute. They walked off. They had a little meeting. They came back and said, look, check it out. We ain't giving you back your gun, but you can leave. You got 20 some years in, over 20 some years. You've done a lot of things. Now the agreement is that you can't come back here. The problem that you're going to have is that although you're leaving us, the people that you've had problems with, the rivals,
Mhm.
they're not going to care about you leaving. So you're going to have to deal with them. I said, okay, that's cool. So I left. And I became homeless. Um, and I lived on the streets for 2.5 years, over 2.5 years, trying to survive. And one day during a snowstorm, this voice came to me and said, hey, get up. I was sleeping under a bridge. It was a blizzard outside. I was under a bridge with some other homeless people, like something out of a movie. We had the big old tin cans. We set it on fire, and drinking or sharing a bottle of Jim Beam, and I'm out here with the other homeless people, and we fall asleep, and I get up, and because of the voice, and the voice said, "I need you to walk this way," and it took me clear across the other side of town. And that's where I began to rebuild my life again. I started going to a day labor, making $48 a day, saving up enough money to where I can get a hotel room. I did that, got lucky, was blessed, started landing jobs that was paying me more than $48. They was paying me over $100 a day. So I was able to keep a hotel room over top of my head, and no one knew me. That was the beautiful thing about it. No one knew me. But then when you get too far ahead of yourself, you start thinking to yourself, I can relax a little bit, you know? And I started going to the bar around the corner from me, playing pool, having a few drinks, having a few shots, and I met more people that like to drink, and I ended up losing everything again. I lost everything again because of that. So, but I knew that I could go back and get it again. So I went back and I got it again, and I ended up losing it again. And I did that probably about 3 or 4 times. And finally, I meet some more people. They take me and they show me kindness, um, and they treat me like family. For the first time in my life,
Mm-hmm.
I had people that treated me like family, right? And from there, I ended up I ended up in Evergreen, Colorado, which is in the mountains. And from there, I ended up in Arizona, and I spent the year in prison in Arizona for trafficking in marijuana. I came back, lost everything again, went down to Golden, Colorado, navigated it a little bit, and I ended up in Lakewood, Colorado, working for another temp agency. Went to Arvada, Colorado, back to Lakewood. And then I met one of my really good friends, and he rented out a room in his garage for me for $250 a month. I said, okay, that's cool. At least I'm not on the streets. I'm not out on the streets no more, right? I look, I know how to survive. I know how to move. You know what I'm saying? I know how to stay in the shadows. I know what I need to do. But I
Can I
met
can
him.
I
He
stop
took
you
me.
there for a second? Because it's interesting because
Yeah.
I was almost homeless. I never had to experience what fully what you experienced, but I got the scare. So for
Hmm.
people who've never experienced homelessness, and because homelessness is such a rampant thing right now for
Hmm.
a lot of people, not just, you know, I guess from the poor communities or anything like that. I mean, people live paycheck to paycheck as it is.
Right.
Is there any kind of like thoughts you'd like to share about it, what it was like, what it felt like? I mean, because there's so many people out there who talk down about people who are homeless and oh, you could just go out and get a job and find a place to live and you don't have to be homeless and all. It's not that easy. Can you kind of give
It's not.
a
It's
little
not.
bit of eye-opening understanding for people who say that? Because that I had a hard time with that because someone said that to me. I was driving for Uber. They said that to me, and I'm like, can I just tell you, I have a college degree and I don't have a place to live right now. And they were like, ooh, but you understand what I'm saying, right? It's just
Yeah, I
not that
understand what you're
simple.
saying.
It's not that simple.
It's not. Um, it's a lonely place out there on the streets, right? And sometimes life will beat you down to a point to where you give up. I lived by a rule when I was out there on the streets, and part of my homelessness comes from this. It's hard to hit a moving target. It doesn't make sense for me to be in a stable environment because if you know where I live at, it makes it easier for you to come and kill me.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to move around, right? And whatever that looks like, I can't run home to mom and dad. They can't help me. They can't. They already worried about the things that I'm doing, right? So I'm going to bring my mess home to my family, to my
Mm-hmm.
mom and my dad. So they have to pay for the things that I'm doing. No, I'm not about to do that. I'm a tough it out. I can't go live in a home, right? So for years, all I knew was a hotel life. I just knew how to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's different types of homelessness. There's people who choose that life
Mm-hmm.
because they don't know how to go back into society. These are the people that we call our veterans, right? They don't know how to integrate themselves back into society, so they choose to be on the
A
streets
lot of,
because
yeah.
it's free, right? It's free. And they're willing to go through what they've gone through because their mental is already messed up,
Mm-hmm.
right? And no one wants to be around that. And once you get taken away from society in that direction, there's a disconnect. So they surround themselves with other veterans that are going through it.
That's right.
And they just go, you know what? I can't deal with the nightmares. So that's where drugs and alcohol come in
Mm-hmm.
because it's escape from the reality. And I know about that because I was an alcoholic. I was like, if I drink this bottle of Jim Beam, I don't have to worry about the reality, the truth of this reality. I can create my own reality.
And doesn't it squash the voices in your head too?
No, it doesn't. It
It
doesn't.
doesn't do
Right?
that. It still keeps them
No, it
going.
doesn't do that. Only thing it does is just it amplifies the voices and it justifies you being out there, right? Like
Mm,
because when you start looking at your life like I'm worthless, right? I'm no good. Do you not see the things I've done? I couldn't let that go. The things I've had to do in order to survive.
yeah.
I I heard a lot of people, Caroline. I did. I heard a lot of people along in the name of survival.
Mm,
It didn't matter who you were. You know, women, oh, I destroyed them because I was toxic, because I didn't know how to let people in,
mm-hmm.
you know, and these were good feet women and stuff like that. And I broke their hearts. But they wasn't innocent neither, you know what I'm saying? There was someone that was pretty bad too, you know, so
Yeah.
um but when that's all that you know, it's kind of hard to see anything else, right? This is what I know,
Well, and
right?
that's, thank you for saying that. This is what I know because um everybody has a different perspective from their own lives. And
Hmm.
some people who think because their life is going well and they're making a lot of money and they're doing all these different things that everybody should be doing the same thing. But that
Right.
doesn't always work that way because trauma will upset the cart, grief will upset the cart, losing your house will upset the cart, drugs and
Hmm.
alcohol will upset the cart. I'm a veteran. I
Hmm.
get that piece of it. Being a veteran, I'm not a combat veteran, but being a veteran, that'll upset the cart, right?
Hmm.
So when
Hmm.
people assume just because of their, and that's the thing, I think that's humanity is in general is like that. We think that everybody thinks the same as we think.
Exactly.
And when they don't understand that, then they start to assume, and I feel like that's where all this is, this the misunderstanding is also linked to um not being educated on certain things, on hatred, on different things like that, because they
Hmm.
don't know what that is. You can't assume that someone is there because they just quit their, they did something wrong or
Hmm.
whatever. People who are perfectly, for lack of better words, I'm going to say this, normal, right? Have normal lives according to the way things are, right?
Hmm.
When something happens, and something goes wrong. I mean, let's put it this way. I had a friend of mine who was a prison guard, and
Hmm.
he was always like, yeah, that person, and he'd talk about it a little bit, and I don't care what their background is, I don't care about any of this stuff. And I asked one, and it was just, he was very like cut off from his humanity with the people that he was doing his job, and I
Hmm.
said one time, well, what about like, because I know if someone goes into, you said you were in solitary, right?
Hmm. 2 years.
For 2 years. Okay. So if you take someone who is quote unquote normal, living in the world as the world is, and you lock them up in a room for 2 years in solitary confinement, do they have a clock in there or a window? I mean,
No,
I don't.
no,
Okay. If you put
no.
any normal situation person in there, they're going to turn out the exact same way. And they've done studies. I've seen research and studies. You lose you lose your mind. You don't know what to do with this stuff.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And so when people don't understand how this kind of thing works, they just assume that it's fixable that quick. And it's not fixable that quick. I mean,
No.
even for me, being almost homeless, it took me 2 years to figure out how to do this because I was going through a PTSD spiral, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
So thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. So go back. Can you remember the last spot you were at before I asked you the question about the homelessness? If you want to continue from there, and then we'll go.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, most definitely. So when I met James, my really good
Hmm.
friend who rented out his room in his garage to me for $250 a month,
Yeah.
life has started going pretty good, right? And me and my friend, me and my best friend, um, it, it was just he was a good man. He was a good man, right? And we had a lot of fun together. From there, um, we used to always go to the Piggly Wiggly, which is a local bar every weekend. And I
Oh, it was a
started working a
bar? I thought
job.
that was a store.
No, no, it's the Piggly Wiggly. It was called the Piggly Wiggly, right? You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? It was a
Yeah.
bar not too far from
A
James. It
bar.
was like, man,
Okay.
yeah, we work all weekend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We work all week. We might as well go and enjoy ourselves, right? So we would go to
Uh-huh.
the bar, play pool, have a couple of drinks, and walk back home, right? And we did that for a good little while. And then I met another guy, and he says, "Man, I know that you rent this room out over here, but I got a house down in Denver, little 1.5 bedroom, nice yard, everything. I would love to rent it to you for $500 a month." So what? So I'm in my 30s, early 30s at that time. So I take him up on his offer. First time in my life, I got a place of my own.
Mhm.
Right? I got a place I can go and put the key into the door and I can go buy groceries and I can furnish this place, right? It's mine. And I'm working a good job, at the time. I'm working a pretty good job. And me and James, we kind of switch it up a little bit. So I would go spend the weekend with James, and Fridays we would go to the Piggly Wiggly. We found another bar or another club, and so we go to Piggly Wiggly on Friday. Saturday we go to this little nightclub, and that's where the other side of the destructiveness came in because not only are we drinking, but now women are coming back into play. I was like, well, I'm not,
That can't be
I'm not
good.
really trying. No, this is not good. This is
No.
not good at all because now I'm like, you know what? I'm not really looking for a commitment,
Yeah.
but I'm looking to have a little fun, you know? And I got out of hand. I got way out of hand. So it was just bad. So we did that for a little bit. One of my one night stands um, happened to be my son's mother. Now, this is December. I met her no, I met her in April, May. April of 2007. I met her April 2007. And she was supposed to be in a one night stand, but she kind of stayed around.
Mm.
I was like, oh my God, right? Don't want
It
this,
happens. Yeah.
Look, I got more women I can count. Right?
Yeah.
I don't need her to stand around. You're messing up my groove. You're messing up my groove
Yeah.
now. You know what I'm saying? I gotta call these women like I can't have you come over tonight. I got to, oh man,
Yeah.
it was so bad. It was so bad. But she ended up getting pregnant. She ended up getting pregnant. And she lived in Loveland, Colorado. And when she got pregnant, she's as a matter of fact, I gotta go back a little bit because it wasn't April. Because Jake was born December 18th of 2007. So 9 months from there. What was that? Put me at January, February.
I don't know.
January is when I met her.
Okay.
Yeah, so January is when I met her. So I was kind of off on my timeline. So I had to think about that for a minute. And so yeah, all of that started happening. We started dating. She ended up buying a condo out here in Loveland, Colorado. She says, I'm not going to move in unless you move in with me. Now, I didn't know that this was going to happen, but I said, okay. Because all my friends was like, dude, she pregnant. She pretty cool. You might as well go ahead and move in with her. I'm thinking my friends are going to tell me, nah, man, stay down here, and be a father and everything, but don't move in with her. No, they was like, no, man, go ahead. And I moved in with her. December 18th, 2007, she gave birth to our son, Jake. Uh, and from there, I found out what a narcissist was
Mm.
because she was my narcissist. So I didn't know it was part of her plan, moving me away from my friends to get me away from them in order to do the damage that
That's
she
what
did to
they
me.
do.
Yeah, I did not know that. I
And
did
women
not know
can
that.
be narcissists too. I
Oh
know.
yeah, she was good too. She
Yeah.
was good.
Yeah.
So,
Uh-huh.
shortly after that, she became very physically and verbally abusive. And I was just thinking to myself, like, any other person, I would knock you out. I would knock you out, but you my son's mother, so I can't
Mm-hmm.
do that,
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up leaving her. I ended up leaving her because I couldn't do it anymore, and she became very vindictive, very, very vindictive. So leaving that situation, she got me fired from my job, an 80,000 year job doing HVAC. And then she turned around and helped me get into a new place, only to get me kicked out of that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because she realized I wasn't coming back to her.
It's the
So
game.
she was like,
It's
"It's
the
the game."
game.
I didn't understand it. I didn't
Yeah.
understand it, but I found out real quick.
Game.
I found out real quick. She played the game really good. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, girl, I'm better. I'm better." But she was really good. Then I got another job doing appliances. She got me fired from that job. Then I got another job doing lawn care. She got me fired from that job. Then I got a job moving furniture. She got me fired from that job. She got me evicted out of two places, then got three of my cars repossessed, all the while destroying my life and keeping my son away from me. She then took me to court. She had me going in and out of court. She had the court system believing that I was a deadbeat dad because
Yeah.
she's not admitting to what she's doing, right?
Right. Yeah.
So now the courts are looking at me like, well, you're a deadbeat dad, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, if I say anything, y'all just gonna beat up on me. So I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna go ahead and take this. And so that was a journey in itself. And
Mm-hmm.
finally, one day, justice came and was served to her. She decided that she wanted to be very physically and verbally abusive to the kids, and her somebody called CPS on her, and so she
Okay.
was finally caught. And now, mind you, I'm still homeless, but as life would have it, I meet another female. She moves me in. 6 months later, she moves out. 2 weeks later, I get custody of my son.
Mm.
So now I have to figure out what I need to do to be a man and a father because I don't know these things. So I started going to men's groups. I started surrounding myself with other men, only to realize that they were just as messed up as me. So I had to turn to the one person that I've never turned to a day in my life, but never left me, and that happened to be God. And I'm not a religious person. I just didn't know where else to turn.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you, I didn't. I didn't know where else to turn. So I began to pray. I said, God, look, thank you for everything, but I don't know how to be a man. And I don't have any positive role models. So I need you to teach me how to be a man. I began to model my life around what I saw in this world. I began to look at life a little bit differently. I was like, man, there's a lot of love out here. There's a lot of forgiveness out here, and I want to be a part of that. I want to have a peaceful heart. I want to be filled with gratitude. I want to live this life to be a good man for my son.
Mm-hmm.
So then I looked, I said, well, I have another problem. I don't know how to be a father. I can model my life behind what I see you giving us as human beings. But how do I be a father to this little boy? And my son became my teacher. He began to teach me how to be his father, right? And he helped me see life through his eyes. And I was like, man, that's beautiful. That's what I'm going to do. So I began to follow in those footsteps. And for the next 5 years, it was just me and my Bubba every day. His mom didn't really want him, but she did what she wanted to do until she realized that she wasn't going to beat me, right? And I had my son 98% of the time. And it was the best thing in my life, you know,
Mm-hmm.
being his father, teaching him and him teaching me and doing all those beautiful things. And in October 31st, 2015, Well, let me back up before that happened because during that course of time, I lost my dad and my younger brother. Um, and then in October 31st, 2015, my son suffered a major overdose because his pharmacist mixed his medication wrong. And that's a whole different scenario, getting airlifted down to the hospitals, being mistreated by the staff in the hospital, them not treating the overdose the way that they were supposed to. And then them coming and telling us Sunday night that he wasn't going to make it, only to turn around on Monday morning, he woke up.
Hmm.
And luckily, he didn't remember anything. So I was like, man, this is the best day of my life, aside from the day that he's born. I get to see my son, see my son grow up. Unfortunately, it didn't happen that way because 9 months later, June 14th of 2016, my son got sick. Didn't understand how he got sick, but it progressively got worse. So deja vu. His mom picks him up Sunday night, takes him to his house. He's running a major fever. She ended up taking him to the family doctor on the 15th of June. They immediately put him into the emergency room because they couldn't figure out what was going on. But whatever was going on, it wasn't good. June 16th, I watched my son pass away from unknown causes.
Hmm.
And I have to navigate that now, right? And so shortly after, brain fog happens. I don't know what's happening for the next 2 years. July 25th of let's see, that was 2002, July 27th, July 25th, 2 years later, 2018, I watched my mother pass away from a major stroke. And she passed away on my grandmother's birthday.
Wow.
So there's a sequence of events that people never really put together. 9 years ago, it was deja vu. My son passed away on the 16th, which happened to be the day after Father's Day, which actually happened to be the day after my mother's birthday. So Father's Day and my mom's birthday was on the same day.
Right.
So happy Father's Day to me, right? June 16th, my son is gone. Now my mother's gone 2 years later, on my grandmother's birthday. So I'm like, I don't know what to do with this.
Hmm.
So I told myself, I said, you know what? I'm stronger than this. It's not going to whoop me. So I did what I needed to do in order to prove that I was strong. I said, you know what? I'm gonna start over. So I started online dating again. I met a young lady. I ended up moving from Colorado to South Dakota, Rapid City, only to have to move back because 3 months later, because I found out that she was a racist. So I had to come back here. Yeah, I know, right? This gets it gets even better. It gets even better. So I have to come back. Now I've lost everything because I lost my company. I lost everything. So now I'm homeless again
Hmm.
and I'm bouncing around on people's couches. Finally, I said I don't want to do this anymore. And so I planned out my suicide. And that's where everything else started happening. I planned it out for 2.5 months and I drove out to the middle of the Moab Desert 2 seconds away from pulling the trigger, and that voice came back again, and it said, no, I can't let you do that.
Hmm.
And I pleaded with it. I pleaded with this voice, just let me go. If you're not going to let me take my life, at least let me disappear. I'm willing to, I have nothing. I'm willing to go to the mountains, find me a cave, and I will stay there. I won't come back down. I won't come back to society. I promise you. Just let me go.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. You're a little too strong for that. Go ahead.
But I didn't know it
You
because
didn't
at
know
that
that,
moment
right?
I was
Yeah.
weak. I
Yeah.
was in my weakest
Well,
moments. I was in
underneath
this really
everything,
dark,
you're stronger than you knew, but the moment of being
right,
human was weakness. Yeah. Yeah.
right. But I didn't know that though. I was willing to give up and walk away from everything.
No, I'm glad you
I
didn't.
really was.
Yeah.
And this voice said, hold on.
Mm.
It's not what you think it is.
Mm.
And I went, what do you mean? They were like, look, you don't understand your life. See, you've been watching your life from a place of being on the inside. Let me show you something. And I said, hold on. You can't show me anything. I've already had to live this life before. And the voice said, what do you mean? I said, I've been alone my whole entire life. I'm 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 almost 40 years old. I've been alone since I was 15 years old. And I've gone through things that most people never even survived. And the voice said, you've never been alone. You've never been alone. I said, hold on. Have you seen my life? And the voice said, yeah, I've seen your life. I said, well, explain this to me then. I began to run down my whole life from the time I was 6 years old to selling drugs to missing, watching all of my friends die, watching, losing my grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, my brother, my father, my mother, my son. And the voice said, see, you focus on all of that, but you forgot all the little blessings that I kept giving you. And I began to ask questions.
Mhm.
And I said, well, if you've been there this whole time, why didn't you keep that dude from molesting me when I was 6 years old? Because I was innocent. I just wanted to be an artist. I wanted to draw. This is what I wanted to be this. And the voice said, had you not gone through that, you would have never have been able to help that other kid that was going through something similar because he almost took his life. I
Mhm.
said, okay, you got that one. You got that. I said, I said, well, what about, the drug dealing and stuff like that? He goes, no, that was all on you. He goes, but I did keep you safe. You didn't have to go through 266 years, did you? I said, no, no, no. He goes, okay, then I got you on that one. I said, well, I've had to walk away from my oldest daughter. He goes, do you think that you really would have been able to keep her safe,
Mhm.
considering the way your life was? So you had to make a really hard decision, but your daughter is safe.
Mhm.
And she was raised by a good man. She
Mhm.
got a chance that she got the chance to live a good life. I said, okay. I said, now you put me back in the gangs and everything. He goes, because I wasn't done with you. You had to go back into the gangs. And I needed you to be exactly who you were because you was able to turn so many other kids away from the gangs.
Mhm.
Because you saw the death, you saw the violence, you saw everything that else that came along with that. That's why I needed you there. You was doing the work from the inside instead of from the outside. I said, okay. I said, what about the alcoholism? He goes, that was part of it too. Because had you not been an alcoholic, you wouldn't be able to, you wouldn't have never been able to know what addiction was like. I said, well, what about all my friends that I've lost? I've lost over 400 plus of my friends and I've watched them all die. This messed me up. He goes, yeah, see again, you're not seeing the other side of it. You watched the experience was yours, but did you think about their families and what they had to go through? See, you was too busy, you was too busy being angry
Mhm.
that you didn't see the other side of it. You only saw it from your perspective. So I said, well, what about all the times I was homeless? He said, and the voice said, had you been stable, I wouldn't have been able to maneuver you around and put you where I needed you to be. And I stopped and I thought about it for a minute. I said, you've taken everybody I love. He goes, again, you're not seeing the other
You're
side
not
of it.
listening to me.
You're not seeing the main thing here.
Yeah.
See, your parents was mine before they was yours.
Mhm.
They taught you how to survive. They loved you and nurtured you. I said, but why did you have to take my younger brother? He goes, because your dad needed him more than you. I said, well, why did you have to take my son? He goes, again, you're not seeing the full picture. Your son gave you a gift, but don't get it twisted. He was mine before he was yours. His job with you, his job there was done. And so I asked the hard question. I said, well, what am I supposed to do with this? And the voice said, I thought you'd never ask. You
Hmm.
see this path over here, that little that and that looks with all of this stuff on top of here and things like that. I go, yeah. He goes, that's yours. Follow it. He goes, but do me a favor. Follow me. Follow me. I'm gonna go before you, but you're gonna have to do the work on this. And that's when this thing called grief showed up.
Hmm.
And this was 6 years ago,
Hmm.
right? 6 years ago. And I'm following this path. And that's when I really understood the things that was on the path that I had to clear out was everything that I had to heal from.
Hmm.
And so it took me on this journey of self-reflection, of accountability, forgiveness, grace, and patience,
Yeah.
because it got me down to the bare to the point to where I understood what had happened. And I had to heal the inner child. And I
Hmm.
had to walk with the inner child until they became a teenager,
Hmm.
until they became a young adult, until they became until in my 30s and then into my 40s, you know. And it was the process of healing and grief. I realized at that moment it was my first love. I fell in love with it and I wanted to know more about it. And so in 2019, after all of this is happening, I came back to Colorado and I'm telling my buddy, man, I'm talking about this thing called grief. And he's looking at me like, what in the world is going on?
Yeah, most people do
Right?
that. I hear you.
Yeah, they were like, what are you talking about, Tony? I was like, man, look, man, this and another. So then I had the bright idea. I said, you know what? I need to go find support because if not, the next time I do this, I'm going to become successful. So I went to find support. There was nothing out there for men. So I told myself, I said, what if I can uh, um, create a space for men to come and be men, to grieve and to be supported by other men. And so that's where the idea of Memories of Us came from.
Hmm.
And so and then COVID happened. I'm thinking to myself, I need to get into an office space, right? That's going to be the key to it. Now, mind you, I'm still homeless. So I started working nights so I didn't have to sleep on the streets. And I started doing this during the daytime, right? And I got into an office space in 2020. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I really don't want to do mental health. I don't want to do recovery. I don't want to do suicide prevention. I don't intervention. I don't want to do any of this stuff. So I'm gonna bring in some people that know how to do this more than me. I want to do grief. This is what I want to do. I love this thing over here. I'm falling more and more in love with it. And so I bring in these people. I got this office space, and we were the only organizations at the time offer in-person groups, right? And it was beautiful because now I'm helping these individuals build up their organizations, right? And now, and things are going good. Things are going really good. And then shortly after, I learned a valuable lesson. You should not get involved with people that you work with. You shouldn't do that. I did. And it was bad. She destroyed me. So I get kicked out of the office space. These people that I was working with start talking bad about me, dragging me through the mud and things like that. So now I have to go virtual. And so from that point on, I had to build up a social media presence. I didn't do social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I didn't do any of that stuff, right? But I did. I started building and I started meeting more people. Then shortly after that, I had the bright idea. I said, I wonder if there's anything else that I can do. And I started my very first ever podcast, Memories of Us, just because I just wanted to have conversations with people
Hmm.
around grief. And I wanted people to understand that there was so much more to it that they wasn't by themselves.
Hmm. Yep.
And then I started a production company. And then from there, I said, what else can I do? And I started the very first ever Global Grief Conference in 2022. And that was just the start of everything else that fell into place. Because then shortly after that, my second organization, which is the Global Grief Network, was formed from these individuals from the conference. So
Mhm.
I was like, oh, okay, let's build a network then, right? So that's where the Global Grief Network comes from. Then I meet another guy, and he's like, dude, I've been following you on social media for quite some time. I want to have you come and write a chapter in my book, which was Relentless, Nelson Beltran. And that book went international. I'm a nobody. I'm just a guy just wanting to do some things, right? Wanting to help more people. So that book went international bestseller. And then from there, um, I got my first guest speaking gig, and I was able, and then they kept coming. So I was able to travel the world, help and meet some more people. And I did all of this stuff for free. I had one rule. If you pay for my round trip ticket, pay for me to have some food, things like that, I'll be on my way. So I never got paid for it, but they did take care of those things. I went out there and I did it. I went to Scotland and Ireland and Italy and Brazil and Colombia, and I met so many other amazing people. And I finally came back here and I said, you know what? What else can I do? So then I wrote my second book, Men Grieve Too, which is another anthology, which is on the cusp of becoming a bestseller. And then the production company that I had, the guys that I was working with decided, you know what, Tony, we don't want to do this anymore with you. So they end up leaving me. And so now here I am left to my own demise. Like, what am I supposed to do? And then I said, you know what? I'm going to do me. And that's when I started Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. And I said, I'm gonna do it differently. I want it to be live streamed. I'm gonna use the Global Grief Network and I'm gonna do table talks around topics that really matter. Because I think people need to hear this from
Mhm.
people that's been doing this for quite some time, to share that information with people. So that's what I started doing.
Absolutely.
Then I had the bright idea. I said, you know what? I'm gonna do 1,000 podcasts in 1 year. I'm serious.
No,
I
I
just
know you
reached,
are. I'm laughing because I know what it's like, because obviously I do
yes,
a podcast.
yeah. So I started doing it, and yesterday I reached 1,000 podcasts.
Nice.
Yesterday I
Nice.
hit 1,000 podcasts on my channel.
Nice.
I said, okay, what else can I do?
Hmm.
What else can I do? Right. So now during this process, I started um I started a magazine
I
called
was
Grief
waiting
Talk
for that. I know
Magazine.
about the magazine. Yep.
Uh-huh. I
Okay.
started Grief Talk Magazine. Then
Okay.
I said, what else can I do?
Oh my God.
Right. So then I started a graphic novel called The Adventures of Grief Guy. And so I said, you know what? I think I'm gonna release a chapter every month with the magazine for people. So I started that. And I said, what else can I do? So now I'm creating animations that go along with the graphic novel,
So you're back
right?
into art.
Yeah, so I'm back. See how everything comes around full circle?
Full
And I was
circle.
like, what else can I do? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so now I said, you know what? If I'm going to do an animation for this, I'm going to create my own soundtrack for it. So I created a whole soundtrack for my graphic novel that's going to go along with the animation, right?
Did you make the
And
movie
now
yet? Did you make the cartoon yet?
I've gotten the first one, which well,
Okay.
I got 10 minutes of the first one. I still got another 5 minutes I need to add to it. So
Well, so,
I've been teaching myself AI and all of
hmm.
these different
Hmm.
things, and I'm creating infomercials and things like that. So it's going to be a big, beautiful thing. So now I'm sitting here talking with you,
Can I
Caroline.
say something? As
Yes.
excited as you just got me, I think it is a big, beautiful thing. It's not gonna be a big, beautiful thing. I feel it. I can feel it. So go
But
ahead. Yeah.
sometimes you just never know,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Can I stop you for a second? We'll do a timeout for a
uh-huh.
second. This will be an
Yeah.
edit. Um, I want to make sure that I have enough time because there's two questions I definitely want to ask you that you gave
Hmm.
me. The
Hmm.
how do we create atmosphere for men to be and feel safe when they are hurting? I'm guessing it's
Uh-huh.
hurting because you said hunting. Um,
Oh, oops.
yeah, oops. And then
Oops.
the second one is the one about men retreating into isolation and how we don't
Mhm.
have it, how we do How do we not have expectations with them? And then those are yours. And then I've got mine that I've got
Mhm.
one, two, three, four, five of them. But I need for you to be as like, now that you're on the other side of your story, just be succinct with these so we can start wrapping up because I got to get the room back to my friend. It's her bedroom.
No worries
Okay.
at all. And plus, I was
Okay.
looking at the time too. I was like, man,
Crap. Right. And I
but
still we still have to set up my interview too. So let's start
exactly.
with that and I'll ask you that. So finish, kind of wrap up what you're saying,
Mhm.
unless yeah, wrap
No,
up
no,
what you're
that's
saying.
total. That's it. That's it. Yeah,
Well, I
that's
know,
it.
but wrap it up. You know what I mean? Because
Uh-huh.
we ended on, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, and I got excited, and you're passionate, and then you can wrap that up. You wrap that piece up, and then we'll move into your two questions, and then go into mine. Sound good?
Okay. Yeah,
Okay,
sounds
cool.
good.
All right, so wrap it up.
All right. So, which and we was talking about this. Like one of the things that I understood about men, uh, um, is that men don't know how to process grief,
No,
right? And so
finish.
all of
No,
this.
hold on a second.
Go
I don't
ahead.
mean to interrupt. Finish up with the.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
and then I'll ask you the question because
Oh,
that way I'll move it into that. Okay,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
So, yep, yep. So shortly, as I begin to go through this process of doing all of these different things and just being curious, it led me down this path of being this creative individual. And I'm always excited to see what's next for me, right? And so yeah, that's pretty much how this path has gotten me to where I am today.
In a nutshell, long story short, right? But that's
Long
such
story short.
long story short, but that is such a powerful thing. And with all the things that you've been through, it's like, that little 6-year-old boy ran your life. That's
Hmm.
that's how, because I in my coaching, I help people walk through or actually meet their inner child. And so when
Hmm.
you started talking about that little 6-year-old, I was like, yeah, I could feel it. I could already feel that. And I know that that's who was trying to guide you, aside from, your higher power or
Hmm.
God, or how you see that. Um,
However people
that
want to
was
call it.
whatever people want to call it. But between that, God and your 6-year-old boy, because your 6-year-old boy integrates with you and is creating all this stuff. That's what excites
Hmm.
me. I think that's the greatest thing because he went through a lot
He
and he
did.
didn't deserve that. And it's like I see it in your passion. I see it in your face when you talk about it. And it's like that's beautiful to me. I just had a couple of things I wanted to share real quick. Um, you talking about men and grief,
Hmm.
and because men throughout generations have been taught to kind of squash their
Hmm.
feelings.
Yeah.
So how do we create an atmosphere, just to kind of give people an idea, how can we create an atmosphere for men to be and feel safe when they're hurting? Because sometimes we don't understand as women, or we don't always
Hmm.
understand that, and men do not talk. So like even if we want to understand that, we still there's no information in there. So I'd like for you to share a little bit about how
Yeah.
we can do that.
Okay. Well, I want to dispel a myth. Men do talk. Um, we just don't talk the way that you think we do, right?
Okay.
And
I
and
got
the, and the reason being, it's like a foreign love language. You have to understand the way men talk when we're hurting, and
mm-hmm,
it's more actionable than it
mm-hmm,
is words, right?
mm-hmm,
So anger, isolation, all of those different things is part of the language that men use when we're hurting. Because since we don't know how to properly articulate it, we have to go back to what we know because of societal expectations,
mm.
right? I just can't go out here and fall apart.
Oh, right.
I have to still maintain my masculinity. I still have to show you that I'm not weak. I still have to be strong, right? So I'm going to do things to still portray that, and hopefully you understand. And so since women aren't conditioned to understand that language, it looks like that we're destructive. It looks like that we're angry all the time. It looks
Or
like that we
passive
don't want to be
aggressive.
bothered.
Even
or
passive
passive
aggressive.
aggressive.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a big
So
one.
all of those different things, right?
Hmm.
So the part of the things that I do is educate people on that. Um, and I provide a space for men to come and be surrounded by other men because men don't talk around women. But you put men in the same room together who have gone through something similar, it's trust. Now I can establish trust with these individuals. And once I'm able to do that, I can be honest now.
Yeah.
Because now I know something about you, I know something about you, and I know something about you. And so now I'm more comfortable with talking about what's going on with me because of the simple fact of I know that you're not going to take what I'm going through and use it against me
Mm.
because I got something on you. Because if you try to take what I'm going through and use it against me, I can take what you're going through and use it against you. So there's a trust factor right there, right? And
Yeah.
it just sparks the conversation. It opens up the doors for us to be able to start the healing process, become
Hmm.
better men for our families, for our communities, for our children,
For
right? For
yourselves.
our friends, for ourselves
For
as well,
yourself. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's part of it right there.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good information because I'm like, I've been through four narcissists, so and they were all men, and they all did that the
Hmm.
passive aggressive piece of it or the rage or all this stuff because
Hmm.
who I can't remember who wrote the book Men and Women are Men are from Mars, Women are from Venus back in the
Yeah,
way back in the this was like in the
I
80s.
remember that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was very powerful because it basically explained how men and women were set up in the brain and how we look at things.
Hmm.
I mean,
Hmm.
women are like, for example, look at a computer screen, right? And you have all these windows open
Hmm.
and everything, all the stuff's going on. And women are, that's woman. We're taking care of all this stuff. And all the stuff that we got going on, that's the computer screen, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it's very difficult for us to close those windows, right? Because we got to make
That's
sure
very
things are
true.
finished and we're taking care of people and we're doing this and we're doing that. So that's what we understand. We understand the big picture. Men, this is what I learned from Men are from Mars and Women are from Venus. Men are point A to point B, right?
Hmm.
That's the action oriented thing. And where, for example, y'all want to go out on a camping trip by yourselves and you're like, yeah, we're gonna go out on this trip and everything, and then halfway to the camping site or whatever, somebody's like, well, who brought the tent? Nobody thinks about that, right? It's the female on all the stuff, right? Enough, yeah. And so what's basically going on that I understand is that the corpus callosum, you know what that piece of the brain
Hmm.
is? It's
Right
the
across
it
here. Yep.
yeah, it's right in the middle of the brain, and it's like a nerve pathway where information travels back and forth between the both sides of the brain. Well,
Hmm.
apparently women have a bigger corpus callosum than men do. So you guys are more focused on things, and that's how you're able to make decisions and take steps and orient and take action steps and do all that kind of thing. But you're not thinking about the big picture. You're thinking that's
Mm-mm.
why men and women need to understand each other so we can work together. For us, we're
Hmm.
like, oh, well, we got to make sure we got the tent and the drinks and the food and the gas and the this and the that. You know
That's
what I
normally
mean?
how it goes. Yeah.
Right. So that's a good thing to know for both men and women so we can understand how we each work without like
Exactly.
women getting upset with men because they're not like, why aren't you paying attention? Well, the reason I'm not paying attention is because I'm thinking about something because like, I'm trying to get from point A to point B and I can't listen to all
Hmm.
this stuff while I'm trying to do that. So
It's
there's a
it's all noise out there a while. Yeah.
right, and that's what we as women get to understand and you as men get to understand how we work, and then there's collaboration rather than insanity, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, so
But it's the
thank you.
communication that we have to work on, though.
Right, and
That's
I
what
think
it is. It's
that's
the communication that
huge,
we have
but
to
that
work on.
that this little microcosm of communication between men and women is showing up in a macrocosm of the way the world works, and nobody listens to
It
each
is.
other, right? And nobody
Yes.
gets how
Yes.
anybody work, right? Okay, well, thank you. That's important that people understand what that how to help men feel safe, and I highly recommend reading Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. I'm going to look it up,
Yes.
but probably put it, let me write it down. And I'll put it in the description. So if anybody's interested, it's an old book, but it really makes a lot of sense.
It does. It does.
Yeah. So now this one's really important because as women, or as a woman, when someone would isolate, a man would isolate himself in my relationships with them, I thought I had done something wrong
Mm-mm.
because they didn't know how to communicate with me, right? So, what exactly does happen when men retreat into isolation? And how do we not have expectations of that and think that we did something wrong, that it's something that they actually, and tell me, and you elaborate on this, but it's just something you need to work through to get your brain back online, and you need to get away from all the stuff going on just to be able to focus, or what does that look like? What is that?
Well, part of that is when men isolate, it's because we don't know how to deal with our emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Society says that we have to be a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when we isolate, yes, we are thinking. We're trying to figure out what it is that's wrong with us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I feel this way? How do I maintain my masculinity in this situation with the people who look up to me? Because I can't be weak for them. I'm a provider and protector. How
Yeah.
can I navigate this without losing value in your eyes?
Mm.
So when I isolate and I don't talk and things like that, it's because I don't want to be a burden to you. I don't
Mm.
want to lose my place of value in your life. Because the last thing that I need you to do is to think that I'm not the person that you married or the person
Mm.
that you're with. And so I have to do that. I have to go to this place where I can be alone because I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel um, safe enough with you. And it's nothing, it has nothing to do with the end
In
of
the moment,
right,
because you
right.
just
Well,
don't feel safe, period.
I don't feel
Right.
safe, right?
Right. So it's not
Because
has nothing
what
to
are
do
the
with you.
possibilities?
Right.
And this is where people have to watch and really, really be careful. Because leading up to that moment, how many how many arguments did we have that you threw something back up in my face
Mm-hmm.
and made me feel less than, right? So why would I want to tell you what's going on with me so you
Mm-hmm.
can throw it back up in my face?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When is the last time that I was able to speak to you freely without you turning it into something about you?
Mm-hmm.
Although you invited me in, so you tricked me already. So why would I trust you
That's what it
again?
feels like. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Right.
That
So
makes
you've just already taken that away from me. So yes, I need to go and isolate because for one, I don't want you to take what I'm going through and hurt me. Um, and two, I need this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need this to be about you. I need this to be about me. And since I understand that you're not going to allow that, I have to take the space away from you. I have to provide the space. That way, if you come in, or whether it be in a garage or a room or something like that, sometimes men just take long drives
Yeah.
because this is a
I've
thing,
done that
it's a place
before.
that we can, it's the place that we can think,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
With no distractions, where it doesn't have anything to do with anyone else except for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's about. That's what the isolation comes in.
Wow. Okay. And may I add to the woman, my perspective as a woman to that
Hmm.
in communication as to how, just for the audience as an idea of how to work through this, because I learned this years later and it made a lot of
Hmm.
sense to me. It's like a lot of times, the man gets upset and walks out of the room, doesn't say a word, and the woman stands there like, well, what the heck just happened? What did I do? And that actually creates women doing what you just said that women do with the men. Anyway,
Well,
so
can I
my
add to that?
yeah, yeah.
So part of that is because when women want to talk, you want to talk about right now, right? Think about that for a minute. No,
No,
no, no, no.
just stop.
We
No,
gonna
look,
talk about this right
hold that
now.
thought, because in that book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, when your man comes home from work, ladies, and he goes right for the TV and picks up the remote, he's just going into his cave. He's just
Uh-huh.
creating a sacred space
Yeah.
for himself, and it has nothing to do with you. but there's ways of working around that. That's what I was
Uh-huh.
kind of coming. Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, but it goes, you want to talk about it right now. You want to talk to me about your day,
can't do
about
it.
Jenny from the block and what Jenny from the block was doing and the
Can't do
gossiping that
it.
was going
Yeah,
on,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And your man is like, I can't deal with this right now. Like, because that man just came home from a long day of work. He had to deal with his boss
yeah.
that he don't like. He has to
Right,
deal with
right.
his
And the woman's
co-workers
been
that he
home alone
really.
with the kids all day, and they want
Yes,
to hear
so
it, right?
she's
Yeah,
running around like I need to talk to you about this, right? Jenny from the block told me that she was lollipop licking and all
yeah.
this other stuff, right? And men are like, that don't really have anything to do with me, you know. And so we don't we don't get that, and don't let something hard go on because women are like, we need to talk about this right now, and men are like, nope, I need to process this
Hmm.
before we get into a conversation. I just need to process this, right? But women want it to be done right then and there. So what ends up happening, men will go, I can't deal with this right now. I'm gonna go this way.
Hmm.
Because just because you want to talk
Hmm.
doesn't mean that I want to talk. But if you give me time, we could come together and have a great conversation.
Yes, yes.
But if you try to
Yep,
push me, I'm going
yep.
to push back. And
Right,
it's going to lead into an argument, and the thing that you wanted to talk about is not going to happen.
right.
We're going to
And
get into a whole different conversation.
okay, so let's work with this, okay? Because what I was
Hmm.
going to say, this is perfect. Because what I was going to say is, so now women understand what you guys are going through and how to make it easier on you when you are coming home from work and when you are in your space, you just need to downtime and decompress and all that kind of stuff. For
Hmm.
men to work with women and communicate, what men can do is just say, "Hey, I just got home from work. Give me about 10 minutes to decompress and I'll be right back and I'll be in a headspace that I'll be able to just kind of listen to what's going on and at least the woman knows what's going on rather than watching him walk away trying to say whatever. I want to say something to you because the kids drove me crazy all day today and I can't handle it anymore. I want to talk to a grown up and that kind of thing. So that actually creates a space of communication for both sides. You say, I need 10 minutes. You're giving her an amount of time. She waits 10 minutes. She knows in 10 minutes you're going to come back and you guys get to have a conversation or she gets to talk, you know? That's kind of where that comes in. It gives a relief in the brain of a woman to know that she has an opportunity. I'm not saying all women are like this. I'm just saying in general, that's how it was explained. And it was like,
Yeah, yeah,
well,
yeah.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Hold on a minute.
No, it definitely makes a lot of sense. I was looking at my timer over here.
That's okay. I'm watching a boat go by and we're about to get hit by waves. So it's
No
fine.
worries, no worries.
Okay.
But yeah, that is part of it. But that's I think we can have a more in-depth conversation on that
Oh,
at some
yeah.
point.
Okay. Okay.
Because
That's
that
perfect.
opens up the doors. That's part of the education that I do with people anyway, because that
Okay.
that that right there can go in a multitude of ways,
And you
right?
got a
You know what I'm
man and
saying?
a woman
So
talking about it. That's the cool part.
right, right. And that's
Right.
that's the whole that's the whole
Yeah.
point is understanding what the other needs
Yeah.
and not putting a time limit and saying, oh, it's been 10 minutes. Right. You know what I'm saying? You said that you was going to be back in 10 minutes because I'm not
Right.
going to give
There's
you a time
ways.
limit because you're going to take that time limit and you're going to try to hold me to it.
Well,
I'm
yeah.
still
I mean,
trying to
it helped
process
me.
this.
It helped me when people did it.
Right,
That's why
right,
I said
right.
not all women are going to be the same. But yeah. So, okay. Well, I appreciate you sharing that information because it's really when for all of us for whatever however you see yourself in whatever gender, anything,
Hmm.
man, women, whatever is out there now. Um, that that's a necessary thing to know because it's still a relationship, it's still communication, so it
Right,
doesn't matter what
right.
gender it is. So okay, I have some questions that I want to ask you that I ask everyone that I bring onto Awakening Soul Divinity, and I'm about to have a
Hmm.
cat maybe jump up here and play, so just
That's
warning
totally
him.
fine.
He's looking at
That's
me.
totally fine.
He's looking at me, and it's a man. Okay, so if you could offer one piece of advice to someone just starting their healing journey, what would it be?
Mm. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with yourself. Don't rush the process.
Mm,
Um, don't rush the process. You're gonna have to go through it. That's just how it's gonna be.
hmm.
And there's gonna be things that you're gonna encounter that you don't know. And it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
And you're not out here by yourself. So, that's those are a few things that I like to tell people. Like, don't rush the process. Go through what you need to go through. Listen to what it's telling you. Learn to trust yourself before you learn to trust other people, because that's going to be a foundation from it. But be honest with yourself too.
Mm, yeah.
Be truly honest with yourself. Look at it and go, I'm truly messed up. I'm messed up right now, and I need to know why. But
Hmm.
you have to be in a space to where you're ready to understand the answers that it's going to give you.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
if you're not, it's going to destroy everything about you.
Yeah.
Because you may find out some things about yourself that you may
Yeah.
not like,
Yeah. And
right?
that's, it's important also. I just want to add one more word, being gentle with yourself, because
Hmm.
when you recognize and figure things out about yourself, it's going to be like this whole cognitive dissonance thing where your whole brain blows up like the emoji. That can be
Very,
like
very
that,
true.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. How would you define awakening?
Um, I would say part of that is becoming more self-aware.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that includes everything from your emotions, to your mentality, to your physical well-being, to your spiritual well-being, and becoming more in tune with who you're supposed to be and not what others expect you to be, right? And live within your own truth and
Well,
show up in the world.
nice. Thank you. You just kind of totally, this is about the name of the podcast and the subtitle. So awakening is what you just part of what you just said. And
Hmm.
then the truth, uncovering the truth of who you are,
Hmm.
which is your soul divinity. But I'll let you answer that one. So the next question I have is, what do you believe soul divinity is?
You're, I believe it's you becoming your authentic self in this world,
Mm-hmm.
to show up in purpose, stay aligned in purpose, and finding ways of helping and being of service to other people. And whatever that looks like, I think that's what it's about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah, because and that resonates with me because I feel like the more healing work that we do, it opens us up to what we get to do in the world to help other people. So that's my, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So thank
Exactly.
you.
You're
So
welcome.
how can people get in touch with you?
Yes, you can find me on Facebook as Tony Lynch. You can find me on Instagram as Men's Grief Support. You can find me on LinkedIn as Tony Lynch as well. You can go to my website, www.mensgriefsupport.org. You can also check out my podcast on YouTube, Grief Let's Talk About It podcast. Um, a few other things, if you want to find, if you're looking for a place to connect with other grief practitioners, mental health practitioners, Global Grief Network. If you'd like to follow along with my graphic novel, the Adventures of Grief Guy is on. I got a Facebook page for that as well. If you're looking for a nice informative magazine, reach out to me. I can definitely send a link over and get you that magazine for free, and you'll be able to enjoy some amazing articles with some amazing people. You can stay up to date on events, podcasters that are out there doing some amazing things. Um, and you're gonna find some pretty good resources too,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So give me 1 second. Let me tell my guest over here that I'll be up there here real
Oh,
shortly.
okay. Is it that? Oh,
Yeah, sorry about that.
that's okay.
All right, so we're good. I just got it up on the screen.
Okay, and I only have one more question, but I don't know how now we're going to do the scheduling and that sort of thing. So
Oh no, I'll give you a call. I'll give you a call when I get done.
later today.
Yeah, I'll be done within like an hour.
Then let me give
And
you my
so,
phone number because I don't know if I'm going to be able to, I won't be able to do a Zoom call. So I'll give you my phone
okay, no,
number.
no worries.
Okay.
No worries at all.
Because there were a couple of things I wanted to talk to you about the interview. I wanted to talk to you about the magazine because I'm a writer, and I wanted to talk to you about the conference and the network. So I think we have, and I also have a couple of names to give you of other grief
Yes,
people. So yeah, I've got a lot of
yes.
information. I didn't know how to do that.
No worries.
Okay.
No worries at all.
Okay. Okay. So, okay. So is there anything else that you'd like to share with the audience before we wrap up?
No, that is it. It's making sure people have the resources and the connections that they need in order to
Yeah.
grieve and heal. That's what it's all about. That's why we share these stories so we can help people navigate this world, this messy, messy, difficult world, and that's so unfamiliar to a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, and I'm going to throw something in here too, because I have been working as a transformational coach with people, guiding them through trauma and grief. So I know this
Mhm.
stuff up and down like crazy. And my own grief, I've worked through all this stuff. So I know what he's talking about. And the thing is that I want people to understand is that grief is something that is there for us as humans. And when we're taught not to feel our feelings, we also lose access to grieving. And then when
Yeah.
we're taught, like because we're so afraid of grieving and crying, that we run into this thing where if someone is actually going through grief, then we're like, oh, it's okay, you can stop crying. No, you cannot do that because the point of grieving is to release this stuff so our emotions can flow through freely and we can live our lives in a joyful and creative and all these different things. And when we don't know that, and that's the point of having people like Tony and myself and some other people that we're hopefully going to bring together soon in the future, because the more people that understand what grief is all about, I feel the more we're going to bring people together in community and help heal each other and walk each other home. I mean, that's like the whole point
That's
behind
it right
this.
there.
Yeah.
That is it right there. You said it. We're just walking each other home.
Yeah. And I'm just really
That's it. We're just
grateful.
walking each other home.
That's right. That's right. And I'm grateful that you came on here. And I'm grateful that we opened this door. And I'm grateful and I'm grateful for all of this and excited about what this is going to look like, hopefully soon, because there's so many things with what he's got going with Tony, with what Tony's got going on, with the things that I've got going on, and
Oh
other
yeah.
people who were in this space. It's like we need this. So
Yeah.
just stay tuned. I don't know what it is yet because we're about to talk later on today, but whatever that is. So I just want to say, Tony, thank you, thank you, thank you for being here on Awakening Soul
You're so
Divinity.
very welcome. You're
Yeah,
so
I mean,
very
this
welcome.
was this was beautiful, and it touched my heart. There were places that touched my heart. Your story gets me. Your whole story gets me every time, and I want to learn more all the time whenever I talk to you. So that's
Yeah,
just
most
that's just
definitely.
who I am. And I also want to thank the audience, everybody, for being here and joining us in this beautiful conversation. And everything that Tony mentioned, the links, all that stuff is going to go in the description, along with the books that hopefully I think I have his links for that, but we'll get it. And then the Men Are from Mars and Women Are from Venus. You want to go back a few decades, but it's still good. It still works for the most part.
Yeah,
Yeah. So thank you for being here, and
very welcome.
I hope you have a wonderful day or evening wherever you are. And peace.
Peace. Thank you.